Welcome back. In this lesson we're going to be using our front and side view of our Circus Girl character map to help us draw our character in this rhythmic gymnastic ribbon pose. You can download the wireframe handout by going to Attached Files in the right hand column under the My Projects tab. And here we'll be working on the wireframe for illustration number 1. Just as we learnt in Bodyworks Part 2 how to draw circles of movement, we'll be placing our character in the same position shown in this pastel reference. So once I have the basics down, the position of the head, the rib cage, the pelvis, and the joints for the arms and the legs, I can then start to overlay more of that detail. You can see how I'm closely referring to the reference material, and I'm getting the angles. It's all about the angles at this point. So what is the spine doing? What angle is that front leg versus the back leg? And you can see I'm sketching quite lightly at this point. I'm not pressing too hard at all. It's all about just sketching and placing in any anchor points and any sort of shapes from that reference to my character. So at this point it's still sketching in quite lightly and just getting, I guess, a feel for, the shapes and the angles. So the shapes of the limbs, the proportions of the limbs, and the angles that those limbs are positioned in. So from the wrist to the elbow to the shoulders, and then from the pelvis to the knee and the ankle, and just then connecting those with the right and correct angle. So here I'm working on the thigh, so from the knee all the way up and then down to the ankle. And you can see how similar the angle is from my character pose if I was to compare that to the reference that I'm using. You can see that I haven't pointed the toe as much. A 5-year-old wouldn't be able to point a toe as dramatically as, let's say, a gymnast or a ballerina. So just keep that in mind as well. Keep in mind the age of your character and their physical ability. So once you get a feel for your character, here I'm just putting a bit of a swing in the skirt, and I'm not putting much detail in. I'm just still just pressing in where I'd like it to be. And I'm just looking at the reference material and transferring it onto that back leg. My character's wearing little slippers, so I don't have to worry about toes at this point. But I do want to get the shape of the leg very similar to that front and side profile drawing that I did in the character map earlier on. So do keep referring back to that character map, and if anything, have it in front of you while you're doing this sketch. It really helps to keep going back to it and using the measurements off that character map and then transferring them onto this sketch, whatever pose you're doing. So now I'm moving around to the head and the shape of the head, and again it's going back to that character map and checking the size and the height and the width of the face. Where does the nose sit, and using that information for these movement drawings. And you can see this character's looking down a little bit as opposed to what we did before, which was looking straight ahead. So the eyes have dropped a little bit, and the nose, and everything's just lower down on the face. Here I have the curls in the hair, and they cover that back arm as well. And the whole idea of this is that it is a sketch. It's not perfect, it's not a rendered illustration, it is just a sketch that we're then going to use. I guess in some ways you want it to be detailed enough so that you have a greater understanding of your character, and even if your final sketches are really spontaneous, at this point I personally like to know every detail of my character, even if I am doing a spontaneous drawing to finish with. So you can see I'm drawing a nice curved swooping line for the ribbon, and in many ways it echoes the curls in her hair, which is lovely. And you can see that I've drawn quite a light line underneath, and then once I feel that that's in the right position, I can then go through with a darker line. So just putting in a bit of a shadow under the feet and the body of my character. I'm finishing up the first illustration in this rhythmic ballet pose. I'll see you in the next lesson.